Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Friday, the 12th of November, comes to you from London. And we see quite a bit of green on the screen this morning. I start with currencies normally, which is the first bit here, and then move into equities, which is this sort of middle range. So we're seeing equities mostly up, and then into commodities. And then last of all, a bit of look at bonds, and then the energy mix. So we start by looking at the dollar index. We are seeing this long-term trend after the breakout this week. We're seeing this long-term trend just in train. We've now just seen prices through the cloud on the weekly chart, and the daily, the 60-minute chart is holding its own. So this is my long-term, medium-term, and short-term view of the market: weekly, daily, and 60-minute. If you're above the cloud, you're bullish. If you're below, you're bearish. So really quite key there. And we are seeing these upside targets. So short-term, the dollar is looking bullish. We do have these mixed targets in both directions, but we're seeing that the medium term is trending. Of course, the short and the medium term trends turn first, and so it will take a while for the long-term trend to be into clear bullish territory. But these trends are suggesting that's where we're going, and these upside targets are what we'll ultimately look to. But then really the next target is the 100 level on the dollar index, and we've got lots of mini targets on the short-term chart. Looking at the euro, that's falling away, so we're just weaker there. And interestingly, that is also just starting to see prices coming below the cloud. So euro weakness, and there's some pretty big downside targets to worry about if we do make new lows below that. Sort of more than 7% fall on the euro against the dollar would activate these big downside targets, so that is a concern. Against the yen, we're sitting at 114. This is normally a lead indicator for the dollar, and the fact that we're holding those gains is very bullish for the dollar. And sterling sitting at 133.91, so again, just falling steadily against the dollar on the medium-term chart. Bitcoin is sitting at $64,800, still looking pretty strong. Targets to 70, 72, and $83,000 are the two big targets there. That's a cluster. The fact they're both pointing there makes the target more likely. Looking at the S&P 500 index, we're little changed yesterday, and if we look at the futures today, we're slightly up on the S&P, and the Nasdaq future just up over 0.25%. The VIX volatility setting steady at 17, but the fear index has been edging higher this last week, so markets have become a little bit more fearful with the CPI data that came out in the week in the US. Looking at the DAX in Germany, we've got the DAX up 0.1%, so just slightly ahead. The same with the CAC 40. Japan was certainly much stronger, up 1.3%, so bullish on all three timeframes there, back in the game, looking strong. And if we look at the Hang Seng, up 0.3%, has taken Chinese property shares woes in its stride. The Sensex was up 1.2%, so it's looking strong. We've still got this very big upside target there to play for on the long-term chart, and the Aussie market was up just under 1%, so we're seeing quite a strong performance in Asia. We'll look at the energy mix in a minute. Wheat continues to look strong, having broken out this week. That's the weekly candle there on wheat, so really quite a clear breakout. So wheat prices, we've got upside targets some 14% higher, and a big one some 52% higher, so really quite big upside targets there to play for. Another one of 17% on the medium-term chart. A shortage of short-term targets, which just means that it may not run next week, but the fact is that this is a breakout now for wheat, so that will feed into inflation fears, of course. Corn, quite a different chart, not breaking to new highs, but we're seeing this sort of recovery here, so again looking pretty strong on an upside target of 0.7. Gold has had a very good week, and here we see that weekly candle there turning the corner. Those are the 5 days of trading of gold this week, looking pretty strong. There it is across the short-term chart, and we've got good upside targets now to play for. So gold If we make new highs, of course, we've got very big targets, some 30% higher, so that's looking pretty strong. Silver was up 2.5% yesterday, a really strong performance. We saw that bounce on Wednesday, pulled back, but then yesterday it just managed to edge higher throughout the day, so that was a very strong performance, taking us back through the medium-term cloud. So silver now looking very bullish indeed. And of course, if we break 30, I've been saying for a long time, if we break 30 on silver, we're going to the moon, because that would be a new high. And the pattern is that we've had that move sideways and then the move that would take us structurally to a much bigger move. The US 10-year yield sitting at 1.58%. Again, CPI moves this week reverse that short-term downtrend, so we are just seeing that heading higher. That 158 target was met. 179, 175, that's where we're looking to next. And of course, all eyes still on this German Bund number at 167.5. We're not on that at the moment, but that's the level we're worrying about. And slightly in the bond market, seeing that lower high. The lower low, of course, would signal the end of a very long-term trend in bond prices. Looking at the energy mix now, we've got Brent Crude down this morning. We were neutral, but slightly worried about this move lower. And certainly on WTI, the targets to the downside were a bit clearer. Still just holding on to neutral there, but concern for a move lower. US nat gas looking stronger. If we can break this 520 level on nat gas, that will be the key level. If we activate that upside target, we are just hitting cloud resistance both on the lagging line and on the price, so that's something we need to watch. Coal is sitting at 105. At risk of wandering below the cloud, certainly has on the price, and we've not managed to get back above the cloud here. A lot of other assets in the energy mix have got above the cloud, but not coal. Emissions, we were bullish this morning. We were actually down this morning when we called that bull call, but we have actually gone higher now, and we've got those upside targets to play for, so really quite key. And the same on the 60-minute chart, we've got very good upside targets, and on the daily chart, some strong upside targets as well, which would take us to new highs, which of course, new highs are good. Given that a lot of the energy mix has fallen away from a high, the fact that emissions is close to moving to making a new high is really bucking the trend. UK emissions prices also just moving into bullish territory on the 60-minute chart. We've got upside targets here to play for as well. Gas markets we called bullish yesterday. Of course, there's lots of news about Russia and Belarus, but the fact is the charts were saying first thing yesterday morning that we were going higher. Same again this morning. We've got upside targets. We've just had a new upside target just this minute activated to 213. That's a new target to the upside. That increases the bullish call for today. And the same on TTF. We're seeing here, we did have a little downside target, but the reality is we're pushing higher as well. That's feeding through to power prices. We're seeing German power pushing higher. That 119 level is really quite key there. We can put the key levels on the chart. Love this tool. There we are. There's the levels 104, 118. That's what we've got to watch for power markets. And if we look at Nordic power, that's looking stronger as well this morning, and we called bullish again today on the quarterly, purely because we've got this good upside target back to the top of the range to play for. That's it for today. Have a great weekend. Until Monday, happy charting. See you then.